So 2 drone attacks in Moscow within 48 hours. What do we know?
Yeah, SJ, last night Russian claimed they thwarted what they call a terrorist attack. They claimed they shot down 2 drones. They also took out 1 drone that was electronically activated. There's lots of video showing the damage that's occurred on the ground. These happened in the Moscow financial district. There's no evidence there's any military target nearby. And as you said, only literally in the last 48 hours, this is the second time this area has been attacked and the second time this building has been hit. Now, I don't believe in coincidences. Either that was the target because it's the Russian elite, possibly. The other explanation is that actually because these drones do follow a very, very accurate path, they would have been taken out in the same place, the debris falls in the same sort of location. Regardless, the damage, whilst it looks spectacular with the flyers, these are from 2 days ago, the actual damage is relatively limited on the ground. The real issue is the psychological effect. If this was in London, Londoners be panicking and be really worried they were under attack. So given the damage is so limited, why is Zelensky doing this? He said he wants to take the fight to Russia, the war to Russia, but the West won't allow him to use the West weapons, and all he's left with is Soviet missiles and drones. But what it's clear what he's doing is actually trying to attack the heart of power, because if the population of Moscow, whose the number 1 priority of any leader is to protect their population, if they're under attack, they start to raise questions about whether Putin can actually deliver on his promises to look after the population. Likewise, the Russian elite from which Putin draws his power will be asking questions. All this just increases the vulnerability of President Putin.
As you said, you know, relatively small-scale damage, but big impact.
Absolutely.
In terms of those images being seen around the world and in Russia. Let's talk about what's happening in Ukraine. The fighting on the front line continues. What's it looking like today?
A quick canter round. So down in Kherson, there was a doctor killed and a nurse injured with an attack on a hospital. But actually 4 are reported dead and 18 injured as the Russian shelling continues down there. Up at Kharkiv, 1 dead and 1 injured in an attack on the city centre by Russia. Kryvyi Rih, we've reported the other day, it's the sort of home of President Zelensky. The injured toll, as they've gone through the rubble, continues to rise up at 69 now, including a bunch of kids aged between 4 and 17. But the big news has always been around just the east of Zaporizhzhia, where the Ukrainians are doing their counteroffensive, and Russian media has been full today of coverage of General Gerasimov of the Russian MOD visiting his troops. Now, that in itself wouldn't normally be newsworthy, so it's worth unpicking a little bit. General Gerasimov and Sergei Shoigu were heavily criticised by Yevgeny Prigozhin, the mercenary leader. They described these guys as incompetent. After Yevgeny Prigozhin did his abortive coup, President Putin didn't know who to trust, and for some weeks, General Gerasimov was not seen in public. They were clearly nervous, but both he and Shoigu have been in post for 12 years. It's pretty evident now they do have the trust of the president. So part of all this coverage of the General Gerasimov's visit to the front line is a Russian media campaign to demonstrate the Russian MOD is still in charge, that these guys still have Putin's confidence, it's business as usual. And so for now, General Gerasimov and Sergei Shoigu have survived in their posts. For now.
Yeah. OK, Sean. Thank you. Sean Bell with the latest there on the war in Ukraine.